The Boston Celtics and Portland Trailblazers made a trade last night in which the Boston Celtics traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and two second round picks. I think this was a trade where both teams didn't really give up much. You could say it was definitely an even trade. Granted that the Blazers gave up two second round picks. Those could be two good picks, granted they're second round picks, but they could be very high second round picks in like the early 30s. And sometimes when you pick up that range, you can get a solid player. And once in a while, maybe even a star. So maybe that'll be a rip-off trade later on. But I think this was a fair trade. Now, if you look at the Celtics, you're probably wondering why did they get rid of Jrue Holiday? I would say probably for a few reasons. The first reason is that Jrue was on the books for the next 3 years. He had a player option in the summer of 2027, but it's safe to say he would exercise it because it was for over 30 some $1 million. At how old he'll be then in a few years, I think he's 35 right now. He's going to be 37. Yeah, he's definitely going to exercise that option. So he would have been on the books essentially until 2028. And the Celtics are looking to save cap space. They're looking to minimize how much luxury tax they have to pay right now, especially next season, since they won't be contending for a title next season. So I think that was the biggest reason why they got rid of him was cap space. That was mainly the biggest reason. Second reason I think is just his age. Jrue just turned 35 about a little close to about 2 weeks ago. He turned 35. And from that point forward, you can just expect a decline in his game. It's going to happen. It usually happens with guards once you get beyond 35. Last 2 years, his scoring has dropped. I know some can say that's because he's on the Celtics. They have so many scoring options, which is true. But I would also say his efficiency went down this season. He shot only 44 from the field, which is bad shooting, I would say, and 35 from three, which is, it's just average, but it's not really good. Both percentages were below his career averages. For his career, he shot 46 overall from the field and 37 from three. So they were below. So it's a sign he's getting older, he's declining, and he's probably not worth that money that they were giving out to him, and they saw that. So that's why they decided to get rid of him. Now you're asking, why would Portland want an aging player like Jrue Holiday, who's probably going to start declining very soon? I would say they probably wanted him because for his veteran leadership. I think more than anything, Portland needs a veteran. They don't have that. Jrue is a great veteran. He's a great locker room guy. They probably want to, excuse me, they probably want to use him to mentor Scoot Henderson. I think that's really the biggest reason, him providing mentorship to Scoot Henderson, who I think they're still pretty high on. He's only played 2 years in the league. I think his numbers are okay the last 2 years. Granted, he could turn out to be a bust, but I think there's still some time for him to live up to the hype and potential that he was getting a few years ago in that draft he had with Victor Wembanyama. And they're hoping that Jrue could help him reach his potential. I think that's probably a huge piece of that. But I think outside of that, I think those are the two reasons, just veteran leadership, mentorship, and that's pretty much it. And maybe they think he can help them sneak into the playoffs. Adding a veteran like him can help when it comes to winning more games. I think veteran presence is very underrated in the NBA. I just look at Chris Paul's impact with the Spurs last year. I believe if Victor didn't get injured, they could have possibly gotten 40 wins. So that shows you how big of an impact a veteran can have. Now, why would the Celtics want Anfernee Simons? Obviously, because of cap reasons. Anfernee Simons' contract expires in the summer of 2026. So it's an expiring contract, which makes it a great asset for them. They get to manage cap space, and he's going to come off the books pretty soon. I would say Simons is a solid to slightly above average player. That's the way I've viewed him throughout his career. He's been a good scorer on a bad team, so those stats are kind of padded if you look at it. But, solid to above average. Would I say he's an efficient player? No. For his career, he shot 43 overall from the field, but his 3-point shooting is pretty good, 38% overall from the field. So they'll get a shooter when it comes to Simmons, and he's a decent playmaker, a decent defensive player, so they get that in exchange. And they need something to get excited about since Tatum is going to be out for the whole entire year. He can fill in for the rest of the year. Granted, he's a small guard, so they'll probably play him at point, I'm guessing. Jaylen Brown at the 2. Or maybe they'll switch it up, have him play the 2 and Jaylen Brown at the 3. I don't know. But short term, he fits into their plans, possibly can help them get to the playoffs next season with him and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis if healthy. I think they'll probably get in. So I think they got him just for the short term. And if he exceeds their expectations, possibly they can keep him. Possibly they'll re-sign him during the summertime. So I think this is kind of like a low risk, high reward type of deal with them when getting Simmons, that even if it fails, they still win because they get the cap space once he's a free agent in 2026. So I don't really look that much into this deal, that in the sense that I think it was good for both sides. They're getting what they need. And if you look at Portland, they could still flip Jrue Holiday, I believe. They could still trade him since he's a valuable asset for a championship team. You never know if there's a team like the Clippers or some other team that feels they're a piece or two away from a championship that they could possibly trade for him and maybe even offer like a first-round pick or something. So that's something to keep your eye on. But I have nothing else to say about this.